So we have a presentation, our podcast on body standards and modeling. So our topic is the issues of the modeling industry on women and young girls. Basically, in our podcast, we're going to create a culture jamming scenario. We figured we can make this pretty fun and informational as well, and include a lot of satire in it, which makes it funny and informational. So basically, I'll explain later what our aesthetic is, but our direct audience is to ignorant people that think they know everything's right, whereas our indirect audience is basically a general audience. Anyone who can listen to it and clearly see the flaws in the two hosts. So we're directly arguing for these body standards or beauty standards to be in place in modeling, but indirectly we advocate for an open mind to change and be open to all body types.
So of course I did a lot of research at the beginning. So we first found out various studies that prove our, what we're trying to come across. And so first we found how adolescents are vulnerable to media influence, because since we are younger, we usually take, and this goes with the social comparison theory, we usually take like models to form our own self-perceptions. So the studies shows the effects of individuality when you are growing, and how that affects your self-perception based on and these external models can be from anything, from personal connections you make throughout life to the media, which includes models. So that's what we focused on. And then we also found how sexism is behind beauty ideals and practices, which increases cosmetic surgeries and risk of eating disorders, because especially women, we have the tendency to try to heal ourselves or try to fit in a certain standard. So because of that, we talk about how sexism is behind that. We also use contemporary examples. We use Victoria's Secret's model requirements because they have had a lot of backlash for that. As you can see the differences between the bodies presented. We also talk about eating disorders because it's a very serious effect of these standards on women. And then also France passed a new law that said they cannot have sickly thin models anymore because they found the research very shocking. And we also talk about airbrushing because usually people want to see perfect women and all that stuff, but it's because magazines and other companies try to remove the flaws.
So as I mentioned before, our aesthetic is to be culture jamming satire, essentially. And we include, so we basically have ignorance versus educated. So me and Ty are ignorant hosts, and Sabrina plays an educated bartender that basically proves us wrong. And by the end, we come around to her side of the argument. And it's basically also good versus evil. So Ty and I play Cletus, Ty plays Bubba. We are just some good old Christian folk from southern Georgia. We're two men that have no idea about this topic at all. We feel that we are right about everything we say, and we just say anything that we feel pops into our heads. And Sabrina's a bartender with a psychology major with a concentration in feminist studies, and she knows many statistics and facts about why we're wrong and why these beauty standards should not be in place in the modeling industry.
So for our content, in the beginning we want to establish the host as very ignorant, so we say stuff we probably shouldn't be saying, but it's okay because we'll come around in the end. And we establish a setting, so we find out a little bit about each characters, and we set up the location at the Rusty Nail Pub in South Georgia on a Tuesday night. And so this is the aesthetic we're going for. This is a little clip. It's it'll give you kind of just an idea. I'll just let you guys watch it.
Oh yeah! It's the adventures of Bubba and Cletus.
This just gives you an idea of like the aesthetic.
That's right.
So this is me and Akash
Like
in
what
this
we
podcast. So, how do I get the next slide? There we go. All right. So in the beginning, me and Akash are making claims that are clearly incorrect, and Sabrina is over here refuting all of our claims, but not really arguing with us yet. She's just bringing up points, and we don't agree with her at this point. So she's bringing up things such as genetics, dieting, and cosmetics and Photoshop in the modeling industry. And each new point is marked by a new drink being brought out. It's just the way that we're like transitioning through all the different points. And so these initial points help establish that Sabrina actually knows what she's talking about and has a lot of evidence to support herself. So this clip will kind of show you the beginning where Sabrina's making points and we're not agreeing with her, saying things she probably shouldn't be.
You guys must have noticed that every girl has a different body shape, just like guys do. Using this observation, how can you expect every single girl to look like the typical petite model?
Well, that's what I see in magazines, so I want to see it in real life.
Well, that's ridiculous.
So, Akash will say whatever the heck he wants to say. So, at some point in the middle of our podcast, we undergo a major transition, and we mark this by Sabrina not bringing us out another drink. We ask for a drink, and Sabrina says, "No, I'm sick of you guys. I'm going to tell you how it really is." And dives into expectations on women, social comparison theory, and really brings across the point that the modeling industry should be showing women of all sizes on their magazines. So after Sabrina does this, Bubba and Cletus finally start to come around a little bit, see Sabrina's side of the story. And at this point, Sabrina's made the main argument, and we're discredited entirely, and we start to slowly come around. So as the main argument progresses, it turns into more of like a real world topic, so we start to see like the immediate impacts of society. So it's not just an issue of what we believe, it's actually how our beliefs are impacting the world. And so we look at how the modeling industry is impacting eating disorders for younger people, and we're seeing things, so for example, this is an anorexic woman, and our views, we believe, because they're ignorant, are contributing to this problem. And so at this point, bartender Sabrina has relayed all the main points, and I'm going to show you a little clip at the end where we start to come around and agree with
Did you know
Sabrina's
scientific
point.
researcher M. Kurosky and his colleagues conducted a study to find how women's brains were affected after showing their bodies distorted to be fat? They found that the women responded the same way as if they read fearful information. It has gotten to the point that our fear response developed throughout evolution has been rewired by the influence of today's society.
I guess I see what she's saying. Those standards could be intimidating. I don't really want girls getting hurt or scared just for my personal enjoyment. You know when this all starts?
So, Bubba's starting to come around. And the hosts leave informed and with a changed open mind. They even pledged to like change their podcast around a little bit and maybe do some research before they start saying stuff. And it just shows how education has won over ignorance. Here's a little picture of good facing evil, and good wins.
So obviously we have a lot of effects in our video. So we have pouring beer and like clinking glasses and the bar ambience, because that's where they're doing their podcast every Tuesday night. And then we obviously have country music, so much country music, especially at the beginning and the end, so have fun with that, Dr. Hoffman. And then we also have truck noises and cows mooing at the beginning and at the end. And then what we should have done differently. So never estimate how long the reach is going to take, because Google likes to give you results from People's Magazines and Cosmopolitan, but not actually journal articles from psychology majors and stuff like that, especially about this topic, because women like to read those magazines. Also, we should have started recording earlier. We had trouble obtaining a microphone because we had one, and then when we tried to renew it, they took it away from us, so we had to wait a few days, but it worked out because we got one on Wednesday and recording yesterday, so we're good. And then we also had to time out the script better. We ended up having to look up new information and add on to it so we can reach the time limits. And we also had to balance information with the aesthetic, because you also don't want to bore the audience with a bunch of studies and stuff like that. You also want to have a nice balance, especially when you have two ignorant people that don't really want to hear what you're talking about. So it was kind of hard to like balance those two things. So we appreciate y'all.